So with that, we're going to get over to the first track. We'll turn the page and we'll start talking about Undercurrent from Toro y Moi. Brett, this one came in from you, so want to give you the floor to let us know a bit more about Undercurrent.
Been following Toro y Moi for a while, and this album called Whole Earth is a bit of a experiment. I think it sets the tone for my 2024, which is to throw out everything that we thought we knew about maybe everything. I don't know. I'm currently in that state myself, in a gooey kind of transformative phase. And one of the themes that I noticed from, I think, all 5 of the tracks that I contributed, all 5 of them seem to have this like breakout transformative nature to them. And this is no different. Undercurrent features Don Toliver and Porches. It's got new wave guitar, this awesome hook that is not common for Toro y Moi. It's cool to hear that, again, that genre crossover of experimentation. One of the things that I read about this album is that Chaz Bear, who is the name behind Toro y Moi, he said that he spent less time working behind the laptop and more time in studio with collaborators, with instruments, rather than looking just at the screen. And that's a big departure from the way he's produced his music in the past. So that feels rich and alive. Also noticed that the cover art is this like swirl of stars, and it looks like the United States flag. The album came out earlier in the year, so, you know, I don't think it's a political statement necessarily about what's happened this year, but I do think that it's a political statement around, it almost looks like you're looking into a galaxy or that you're going down a drain. And I think that double entendre, again, is a bit of like good, bad, how do you know? It seems like there's a commentary on how maybe the United States is changing, how that affects the rest of us. I think space travel is becoming more of a thing. There's like all these interesting notes to the idea of whole earth. Plus the words whole earth, or the way he spelled them, is not WHOLE, it's HOLE. And then earth is spelled without the A. I don't get the earth part, but I do get the whole part, the idea of a hole in the earth. I definitely encourage folks, if you like the sound, to go dig into the whole album. I think this is the best song from the album, and I'm excited to get you guys in front of it and curious to hear what you thought about it.
Yeah, Brett wants you to dig into the whole album, WHOLE, not the whole album, HOLE.
That's right.
Yeah, interesting.
That's right.
Little spelling on the album name. I noticed the same thing. And also the cover art. I agree. I like your interpretation of it. I hadn't really thought of that, but I like the way you thought deeply about it and shared the way that the stars are aligned and distorted slightly. It is really, really interesting to think of it that way. I thought the track was great at the top. It has this nice mashup of genres, as you said, Brett. And then it also has this pretty familiar, almost pinback style feel of the driving notes. And then it has a woozy soundscape to it. So I really liked it. Also, thought that there's this one particular part, like 2/3 of the way through, where they start repeating some of the same lines, like all at once, all at once, all at once. And then in my head, in my head, in my head, not alone, not alone. And it does this a couple times. It almost kind of similar to the way the album cover looked. It's like starting to spin or starting to lose control, or maybe get picked up in the undertow or the undercurrent. So I thought the way they brought the actual lyrics together with the soundscape, and then some of the way they deliver it with the repeating and stuff, I thought it made for a really rich soundscape and brings me in every time. I did some of the ordering, and the way this ordering they got submitted was, it was a block of Brett's songs and then Grant's songs and then my songs, and then we interspersed them. But I never really considered a different song at the first song, because this was at the top, and I just thought, wow, this is a great song to be at the top of the playlist.
Yeah, I remember you making that comment too. It anchors us back into, all right, here's where we go. And we picked us back up. I thought the song felt that way too. The collaboration aspect of it, the multi-genre aspect of it felt very, this is the right song to re-enter the Stone Soup world. I liked that. I liked that feel. And Sean, I agree. When you said that, I was like, yeah, right on. Don't move that from the front. And you didn't. That was like the cosmic connection of us doing the playlist order together. I loved that this had a balance between kind of all three artists. Sometimes you hear a collaboration and it's 90% one artist and then a little bit of the other guy. But this one, we really felt like a fair, equitable, and that shines. That makes the music have chapters within this short but great song. Porches, I am familiar with. I think it's Toro y Moi, the bull and I, but it's a mix of like Spanish and French. But that's just what I've said in my head. Who knows if I pronounce it correctly? But that's what I've said. The guy is Chaz Bear, I think is maybe a nickname for him, but he's from South Carolina. And I have heard Toro y Moi a lot in the chill wave circle of the mid 2010s ish or whatever. A lot of times cycling through his cool bass line, kind of driven smoothness. This was really cool to hear. He purposefully collaborated. I did also pick up a note searching to see what's the latest with Toro y Moi, that he became a father. Things that us three obviously talk a lot about, but to see how that informs his music or his style, and it makes me go back and want to listen to the whole album again to check that out. I also just have to say, Porch's voice, when that comes in with kind of this, a little bit of like a vocal, like you just woke up and you're singing, but he does that so well. And I think the balance between all three artists' style and lyrical rhythm and voices made this song super exciting. So solid pick, great way to start it back up.
A few more quick thoughts. The atmospheric nature. I love that you, Sean, you named the repeating, the way that sort of cycles around. And something that I definitely thought of is that the lyrics, they start to repeat. And then by the end, there is this kind of round happening, which I think is pretty cool. And then the other piece was that I did do a little bit of research on the name, and it's a nod to the counterculture magazine called Whole Earth Catalog. And he said in an interview that it's meant to be a discussion or to spark a discussion around the way humans are tapping into the more tribal or earthier aesthetic. And I appreciated that. Similar to you, Grant, I've listened to a lot of his work, and this one just felt like that atmospheric nature, again, like this connection between space and the earth, and like all of the swirl that's going on around really all of the things that are happening right now, politically as well as technologically. It's an interesting sense of an undercurrent. There's an undercurrent that's moving through, and the naming of the album in this way to bring us back to the earth. There's something grounding. There's something exciting about that. It feels good. It feels nourishing.
All right. If you're on YouTube, you may just be able to let it play and the song comes up. If you're on Spotify, you may like to pause and listen to the song. We've got the link to the playlist in the show notes. This is Undercurrent.